Okay, our next speaker is widely recognized for the originality of her thinking, not just in terms of business models, but also in terms of her thinking about entrepreneurship and its place within society. She's involved with some of the policy discussions that are going on in the U.S. with regard to national innovation and entrepreneurship strategies. Perhaps the most intriguing part of her profile, however, are the businesses that she's been involved in starting that have actually taken existing business models and turn them upside down or inside out, which people from the ideation and creativity field will recognize as being some, sort of classic, brainstorming and idea generation techniques. So in bringing Robin Chase up to the stage, I really hope that we'll hear something as well about her creative process in terms of having come up with now a stream of ventures that invert traditional logic. So with that, Robin, thank you.
Hi. So being known for shared mobility, I want you guys to quickly stand up. I feel like I've been sitting for too long. Quickly, so we don't... And you can even stretch your arms. I'm feeling like, oh my God, it's time to get some circulation going. Excellent. So, phew, I feel better. Today I want to talk to you about a voyage of discovery and thinking about things, and I want to start with my slides. I want to start with my favorite topic, of course, which is sharing. And so I want to begin with something I'm kind of fascinated with, which is bed sharing. When I came to Lund, I don't know anybody here. If I did know someone, I might be lucky enough to stay in their spare bedroom. They've got a child that's moved out, they happen to have a big house, and I would be staying in a room that would look kind of like this. If I were even more lucky, I might get a double bed that would be my shared room. And if I'm not so lucky, you might end up in a room like this one, which my children want to go there, but I don't let them quite go so far. And this is what hotels were made for. And I'm staying in an incredibly nice hotel right now, at the Grand Hotel. It's for people who don't have friends to stay with when they go places. I was in Stockholm a couple of years ago, and I happened to be at an exhibit, and it was in like 1650 that the king said if you had a farm of a certain size, you had to have a room of this square footage for travelers to come stay at, time before hotels. So if we think of these hotels, they really are bed sharing. And when I was doing my company Zipcar, my staff wanted to call it car sharing, and I said, sharing has all these odd connotations. Imagine if we called hotels bed sharing. You would certainly think differently when you got into that sheet at night. So hotels. So I'm really kind of thinking about, okay, hotels, it's bed sharing. What are the biggest hotels in the world? What are they? So being an expert researcher, I went to the best place I know to, which was, of course, Wikipedia. And in Wikipedia, I started looking at hotels, and these are some of the largest hotels in the world. And so the Intercontinental Hotel Group, it's been around for 60 years. It has 645,000 rooms, 4,400 hotels, 100 countries. Just if you look at these numbers, Hilton Hotel, it's been around for 93 years, 610,000 rooms. Think of the effort, and over all those years, you can think, okay, I had to build the hotel. First I had to plan it, then I had to finance it, then I had to build it, then maybe I guessed wrong, maybe that one went under, I had to do another one, I had to hope that 7 days a week there was someone in those beds, I had to get a return on investment. And that even through all that, these hotels have persisted and grown. And it's this major effort to be able to be these big hotels around the world. But in fact, and some of you will know the answer to this question, these aren't the largest hotels in the world. There's something called Airbnb, which is individuals putting their own rooms onto the web or their own houses, and in 4 years, it has 650,000 rooms to rent in 192 countries. It's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling that these guys in 4 years are bigger than the biggest hotel chain in the world. And you're paying money for them, so they're really comparable. Not comparable exactly, but the same idea, couch surfing, where you put your couch, same idea, but there's no money transacted. They're 8 years old, 1.5 million rooms that you can stay at. 2 people I had lunch with today did some couch surfing, and I myself have had couch surfers over to my house. And it is this, really, it's just a phenomena. Like, how can this be happening? There's a nice picture here. This is 6 months old of the growth curve for Airbnb. Airbnb is moving so quickly that they, I think, have hit 10 million nights booked since when they did this. So it is this, like, it's exponential what's going on. Some people call this peer-to-peer. And I think, peer-to-peer, like, really, is that what we're talking about? Peer-to-peer is also having a bake sale, you know, people getting together, they're talking to each other, it's personal, that's all true. And I guess a simple thing to say is, okay, it's peer-to-peer, and then we have this thing I just have to talk about, the huge tidal wave that's giving us so much power, which is a free and open internet. And I'm hoping that Larry Lessig, who's speaking after me, will be talking more about this. I'm not going to talk about the internet, but this is one big part of the force, absolutely. And the power of capitalism, I think, is just like pushing us forward. But still, for me, I feel like this still is not capturing what's going on. And I think about Airbnb and couch surfing, and I think there's this idea of excess capacity. There's these beds that were idle, that had already been bought and already been paid for. It's already been monetized. And here someone has figured out how to, I can put my bed on couch surfing or on Airbnb, and if I rent it out once a year, great, absolutely great, because I didn't have to build that room for that purpose. And I'm not just getting, you know, when I'm sharing my excess capacity, I'm not just sharing a little kind of sliver of it. I get the whole asset. The whole asset is what I'm getting when I look at excess capacity. And if I were giving another talk, I would talk only about excess capacity. So those of you who are thinking about innovation and entrepreneurship, think about this idea of excess capacity, because I want you to think about it spatially. We're here in a place that used to be a grassy walkway, and it's being multi-purposed, excess capacity for what we're seeing here. But so spatially, virtually, mentally, I mean, excess capacity is an amazingly powerful concept. So excess capacity on a platform for participation. I think now we're getting closer to what's going on with Airbnb. Excess capacity on a platform for participation. And so to show you these same old things that you've seen time and time again, I look at those and I think, you know what? That's excess capacity. It's Robin's searches and Robin's links that Google is cleverly putting together and telling the next person what's the best thing to click on, what's the first one. Facebook, it's my friends. YouTube, it's my videos, all on these platforms for participation. And the same thing with these other well-known and high-growing things. You know, it's my expertise and my stuff and my photos that are making these companies what they are today. So yeah, it's excess capacity and platform for participation. But again, I feel like, you know, there's still something more there for me. And I think of it as Peers Incorporated. And so I want to talk about Peers Incorporated. What do I mean by that? So I feel like Peers Incorporated is a partnership between companies and individuals. And it's getting the best of both worlds in this symbiotic relationship where we share the value. So for the corporation side, what are these companies doing? They're bringing all these things that were fabulous about the Industrial Revolution. They're bringing these economies of scale. They can buy things in bulk in large ways. They bring this multitude of expertise that I, as an individual, I can only be smart and good in a few things. Companies, they can have lots of expertise. They can make investments that persist over lots of years that I personally, as an individual, probably can't do. A fabulous thing they do is they do standards, rules, and recourse. So you have a contract, and you understand what that contract is. It's this nice, fixed thing everyone understands. And it's all kind of bound together in this brand promise. And all of this is what's on this platform for participation. What do the individuals bring? The individuals are bringing the stuff that is incredibly expensive for the corporate guys to do. What do they bring? They bring this unbelievable diversity that I'll be talking about later. Like, the diversity of individuals is so powerful. And so with that diversity, they can bring localization and customization, specialization of all these services and products. They bring their social networks, which every single company is yearning to get at. Well, it's easier for me to get my own friends. They're people I know, my friends and networks. And then there's this area of innovation, and I'll talk a little bit about this later. And what the peers bring in terms of innovation is really phenomenal. So peers incorporated these two working together. And there has to be this shared value. If the company tries to take too much, well, then the peers aren't going to be very interested in participating. It has to be something that they feel is working for them. So some examples. Carpooling.com, friends of mine, it's been out for 10 years, and that is, of course, excess capacity. It's me sharing a trip I'm already taking instead of me going by myself. There's the three or four extra seats. And this company today, 10 years old, they move 1 million people every month. It's just ended, the numbers I got from them, that 1 million people moved, and the distance is like 2,500 high-speed trains without having to buy one train, lay a track. They're moving huge numbers of people. Another example. Fiverr.com. I met these guys 2 weeks after they started, and now they're 2 years old. Fiverr is, what would you do for $5? And so people put their gigs online, and it's what they would offer and do for you for $5. They're 2 years old now. What does it say there? 800,000 gigs have been posted. And they are, you should go check them out. It's hugely amusing what you can do for $5. I've been buying some really amusing marketing materials for $5. So it's really taken off. To make it seem that it's not only simple, easy things, another colleague of mine is running a company called Topcoder, which does very large design and engineering projects. Topcoder has 400,000 engineers who are participating and doing projects for big companies like Google and Facebook. And he was telling me that Topcoder is really a community of engineers that happens to have its own company. And so again, he's meshing these two things together. And one, Etsy, a company I also really love because I like handmade goods. I like to make them myself. So Etsy is a marketplace where you can only sell stuff that you make yourself or that you have curated yourself. And they're 7 years old, and last year they had $600 million worth of sales that they returned to individuals. And you can see this growth curve. So this is this peers incorporated combination. And if you're a business person, you look at that and you say, oh my God, I want to do that. All I have to do is build this platform for participation, and then I sit back and wait, and it goes like this. Yeah, I'm in. So needless to say, I did try it out. So the company I had done before is called Zipcar. And Zipcar I now think of as traditional car sharing. So Zipcar parks cars throughout dense metropolitan areas for people to use by the hour and by the day instead of owning their own car. The amazing part of it is that we made rented cars as easy and convenient as using your own car, and it has huge environmental benefits in that each car replaces 15 cars on the street because 40% of the people decide to sell their car or don't buy a car because of these cars. And more importantly, each person who travels about 80% less than they otherwise would, because now they're paying the full cost completely real time, and they decide, I want some ice cream. I'm not going to hop in my car. I'm going to walk or maybe get it on the way home from work. So Zipcar has these really fabulous environmental benefits. It is today, I think, 700,000 people are using 10,000 cars that are parked throughout North America and in the UK. So it's been a very successful company. And I think it's great. What I've done in the last year is I started a company called Buzzcar, because I thought, okay, let's just push the envelope a little bit here. Let's do something a bit harder. And Buzzcar, instead of investing in cars, because with Zipcar owned the cars, we invest in people and in the community. So we've built a platform for participation where individuals can rent their own cars to their friends and neighbors. And so if you have a car that's idle, which would be everyone, since the average car is driven 5% of the time, you can make money in the free time, and if you need a car, sometimes you don't have to go buy your own. So I want to take you into the life of an entrepreneur. So I spent a year putting all this together, and then you have launch day. So in that year, I spent so much time getting the insurance right. That took a year, and after 4 years, I'm still trying to get it right in the US market. And with these peer incorporated companies, I have two markets. I have both the consumers and the providers. So I have to think about, I have to do the justice by the owners of the cars and by the people who want to rent them. So for the insurance, I have to make sure that the car owner is completely protected, and I have to make sure that the price is right and the deductible is low enough so that if I'm a driver, it works for me. So, launch day. We had this huge amount of press. I'm really, really excited. Things are going really well. People are signing up. It's really great. Owners, drivers, we start getting the first reservations. And then, I want to tell you, my look of surprise, I thought, are you kidding me? This is what's going to happen? There was this shocking thing that people would get a text message that says, hey, Robin, so-and-so wants to rent your car, and you can make 60 euros this weekend. Yes or no? Nothing. 80% of the people or more who had just then signed up weren't even bothering to answer back. So I learned this aha. When we think of industrial production, the whole point is that you choose a quality point, and it's consistent and exact, and you deliver it for this value, and every single one is the same. And that's what is beautiful for things like my smartphone, and it's also fabulous for Zipcar. Everyone is identical. We know what it's going to look like. For peer production, we had this big range of quality. And of course, eBay, first guys out of the box who did this, they invented ratings and commentaries to get that whole yucky side of the equation way off. So we're all notified right off the bat. These people never answer. They're lazy. They have dirty cars. They're crummy. Don't pay attention to them. And so that's what I learned, is that we need to have ratings and commentaries. And we had to work really, really hard to make things happen. And so, for example, here's just an example of you can add your car online or by cell phone, and I had to make it feel like a game so I could get you through those details that people want to know about your car. What color is it? What kind is it? How old? Where has it been? So we needed to make things funny, easy, and we needed to, as I say, make it so incredibly simple, and that's what the smartphone did so beautifully. So we want owners to take pictures of the four sides of their car, and your smartphone turns into a camera in seconds. You know, it's an entry form machine, and now it's a camera. And so if you push on, take a picture of this side of your car, it instantly puts it into the spot, and so we have the four sides of the car. So continuing, there weren't only bad surprises, there were also amazingly good surprises. And they were great surprises. And the great surprise was something that I knew was going to happen, which was the power of diversity. So here, just look at these beautiful pictures that people have sent me of them and their cars. And I'm trying to click. Here we go. I just adore these pictures, which are not clicking through. So we have all different kinds of cars in different locations throughout France, different prices, different owners. The beauty of Buzzcar is that you can get a different car in a different place. And really, all of these people are fantastic. And what is fabulous about this is that when you go to pick up the car, someone was telling me a story that they're going to an island. The person who rented them the car said, oh, I know it really well. This side's all cliffs. This side are these beautiful beaches. Here's my favorite beach, and this is the best fish restaurant. You're not going to get that from Zipcar or from Enterprise or from Hertz. You're only going to get it from an individual. So if we go back to this model, and so today we have, after 1 year, we have 11,000 people signed up, sharing 1,300 cars after 15 months. And again, it's a model that doesn't happen if you have to do things the old-fashioned way. So if we look at this peer production spectrum, there's this huge wow piece that you can get these amazing innovations. And I want to even say, wow, because what's happening if I were an individual, I can think up some cool ideas. If I'm a company, maybe I have 10, 50, 100 people in my innovation department. With peer production and this peers incorporated model, I have thousands and tens of thousands, and if I think of eBay, millions of people iterating on the product and service possibilities. So the amount of innovation you can discover is really amazing. And I think with these peer companies, we're going to be moving that one point that industrial production provides and shifting it to the right to get a much higher, better quality of things. So if I think of Buzzcar, the reason I called it Buzzcar is I wanted people to remember and think about the fact that we've built this platform for participation where there's individuals who can work inside that platform. There's honey for all. It's really a high-quality, fabulous thing. And this whole piece that I've been talking about for peers in corporate, I'm just pausing now. I want to take it to a down zone. I personally, most of my life these days, in fact, the reason I'm here and the reason I do a lot of talks every year, is I'm really concerned about the future and about climate change and sustainability and the pace of those, the scale and the pace of those problems, when we're rational, is devastatingly awful. Like, how in heck are we going to be able to meet the needs of 6 billion people going to 7 in this short period of time? It's incredible. And for me, this is where the peers incorporated model comes into play. We see that it offers speed and scale. If you can get that platform for innovation, platform for participation correct, which is no small feat, it is really hard to get these platforms for participation correct, then it can really scale fast, because all of that, all of the investment is done simultaneously by other people at this. And it's this remarkable. One example, which I've neglected to say, is if you think of Google Video versus YouTube. Google Video, why would Google Video not have won the game? Why did YouTube win? Why did a little startup win? And it's because their platform for participation made it easier or better for either the people who are putting in the videos or the people who are getting them out. One or the other, or likely both. So their platform was better and they took off and Google Video didn't. So you get the platform right. So for me, the world's problems. Transportation is at the center. You guys might not have realized that, but it is the center of your life. Don't forget it. Everything you do has to do with transportation. But there are these other major, major pressing problems. And we see these peers incorporated companies happening in many of these arenas. Just these edX. So this is Harvard and MIT just joined together miraculously. And it's happening also at Stanford, where they're doing online courses. And the courses are having a real structure, and professors will be adding their content into that structure, and they'll be evolving and improving over time because of all the classes and what's happening, all of those iterations. All of these major issues, for me, I think Peers Incorporated is this fabulous answer. So if we think about, I think I have one more slide there. If we think about the internet and how it empowered people, and the internet did empower people, and it does empower people, and I'm really excited about it. But this Peers Incorporated new organizational structure, it takes the power of the internet and it loads on it the power of the corporation that it's handing to people. So I, as an individual, have these two incredible forces with which to go and move ahead. So I'm just ending with this people power. Let's go. Thank you. Oh.
Don't go away. So I'm dying to ask you a couple of questions, and I'm sure there will be other questions from the audience. But I wonder if you can say a little bit about your own creative process to get to this more mature kind of share economy venture portfolio that you've created. And also, if you weren't doing Buzzcar and the other stuff that you're doing today, what's the one that you would most want to do? Because it's a little challenging to figure out the specifics of the opportunity stream beyond the ones that have already been explored.
So I think the thought process, I tried to bring you a little bit through that thought process, that I think, okay, I look at this as excess capacity, and for a couple of years I was all about excess capacity, and then I realized, it's excess capacity in the platform for participation. And then it still doesn't feel right, and I was really realizing that there's this, we've been talking a lot about Web 2.0, and I feel like Web 2.0 tells me nothing. And so for me, this Peers Incorporated really gets at what that thing is that's making this partnership so powerful. The thing that I continue to be really fascinated with excess capacity. And so I work in transportation, and so it's something that I'm yearning to get at and is bubbling in the background even as I speak, is if we think about when you pay for road tolls with your device, you pay for road tolls with a transponder. This is a wireless device that you paid for that is being used 15 seconds a month, if that, like the little slip of time that you pass through the toll guy. And smartphones are now an example of what, over the last few years that I've been talking about it, smartphones are the absolutely fabulous example of a multi-purpose device where you bought it for the killer app of making phone calls, And now you use it for thousands of things, stupid things and good things, so we can have this platform for participation. The thing I'm personally really fascinated with is something called mesh networking, which is all of us are walking around with our own devices that could become, that we've paid for. I bought my own device, and that can become nodes and giving us local communications for free. You guys all bought your device. When I'm making a phone call there, why is it going to a satellite and back? Why is it going to a cell tower and back? It should be going from me half a mile over someone's device and to the person who's a mile away, and keeping this stuff local. So I'm really fascinated with that, and we are right on the edge of that. And really, the inception for me is this idea of excess capacity and how it turns the economics of investment and the economics of innovation on its head. And so one last point on that is, as an entrepreneur, what you're constantly looking for is what are your inputs and what's going to cost you the least amount of money. So all of the open movement, so open data is excess capacity, is now a tool for me as an entrepreneur to do it. Open devices, someone else pay for that thing. It's a magnet for innovation. And so I am just iterating to everybody all the time, look for excess capacity, fabulous place to innovate, because you don't have to pay for this huge piece of your input stream. That's all.
Terrific. Questions from the audience? We have time for one or two if you have something. And Thomas, you may have a comment? We're
start with to see if the
I'm
audience...
getting help to scan to see if there are any questions.
I did a good job. Everyone's...
It's a mind-boggling set of thoughts. Here's one over here.
Hi, my name is Espen Beckman from Beyond Innovation. I wonder if you have encountered any platforms for peer production. There seems to be very similar problems, no matter what the excess capacity is.
There's a growing movement, and many people are trying to do this around reputation systems. And so and there's many companies who are working in this space. And so I have lent my car in Buzzcar, and I've been rated favorably and well. And so therefore, when I went on Airbnb, you should be able to look at my Buzzcar record and say, wow, she's great, she's kind, clean, and pays her bills. Check. So there's a lot of companies that are trying to do that. We'll see which and who wins. Facebook provides a platform for a lot of people around this trust space. There's lots where I feel like it needs to happen. So the cars of the future, around this insurance question, I should really be carrying with me my car driving and accident history. So I can use anybody's car in seconds, and you'll know that I'm a good driver and I'm paying me personally. Today, in order to get my driving record, in France, you can't. And in the US, you have to pay $7 each time, and it's done in real time. Even that is weighty. And so there's all sorts of, I need to be able to carry my reputation with me around, and it still needs to be private. Okay.
Okay, thank you.